Russia is on the back foot at the moment. After the US gave permission for US weapons to be used inside Russia against Russian facilities that were targeting Kharkiv.
Alright guys, I'm going to try to keep this one short, but it is the elephant in the room. We've got Russian warships showing up very close to our shorelines. They say that they don't have nukes. At the same time, old Bideno has already fled the country. My name is Cohen here at Riverside Homestead, and if you're brand new here, welcome. If you guys are into prepping tips, emergency preparedness, and most of all, news and awareness, stuff that you want to know about, be sure to hit that notification bell so you guys can stay up to date. Let's jump into this one. All right, guys, this has happened before, but not at this scale, and it's ironic that a bunch of different things are happening at the same time, including Bideno being gone outside of the country. Very interesting. This right here is a map of 4 Russian warships that are in Havana Bay, Cuba, and this was on Friday, just a few days ago, on the 14th, as U.S. warships in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, just hanging out. And people are seeing these things show up.
All right, meanwhile, a fleet of 4 Russian warships are now just off the coast of Florida in the Caribbean. All right, that includes a nuclear-capable submarine in the Havana Airport, harbor, I should say.
So it comes as the G7 summit is now underway in Italy, where President Biden is making support for Ukraine a top priority.
The moment that we've had more presence from the Russian military ships, possible nukes, which they say they're not on there, but they have no idea. It's possible. Are you guys seeing the coincidence here? Happens to be the time period that old Bideno is over in Italy.
What exactly does this mean for America?
Well, I think first and foremost, this is a clear signal from Vladimir Putin. What is happening at the moment in Ukraine, as well as what we're seeing at the G7 at the moment, is that Russia is on the back foot at the moment. After the US gave permission for US weapons to be used inside Russia against Russian facilities that were targeting Kharkiv, after a new Patriot missile has gone over there, after there's a stalemate on the ground inside Ukraine, and after a lot of, I think, a 10-year guarantee that the G7 will support Ukraine, this is Vladimir Putin very clearly, as he said last week, showing that he still has cards up his sleeve, that he still has ways of threatening the West. And so we've seen this flotilla move over the last week towards Cuba. There are 4 ships. As you said, there's 1 nuclear submarine amongst them, though both the Cubans as well as the White House have said there are no nuclear missiles on board. That being said, the frigate that has been sent over, the Admiral Gershkomov, that is the one that used cruise missiles, supersonic cruise missiles. So there are some questions about whether or not it is armed to its maximum. But this is Vladimir Putin sending a clear message that he may be on the back foot in Ukraine at the moment, that it is a stalemate there, but he still has an ability to get weapons towards the US. There's no sign, of course, that he is planning to do anything at the moment, any sign of an attack. These are in the lead up to a maritime operations that he's doing in the Caribbean over the next week, both with the Cubans and perhaps also with the Venezuelans. So just a sign from him that there are threats perhaps that he can reach out.
Now I want to inject here. This is information that y'all need to know. But at the same time, we've got some weird weather phenomenons happening in Florida. I'm going to play this short clip right here. And it's just kind of a weird coincidence that I do think should be noted.
Coincidence time. Tell me why Miami, South Florida, is underwater. And these storms started at the same time that Russia shows up in Cuba. The two are absolutely not related at all because we can't control the weather. No. There is just absolutely no way that these two are connected. They can't be. Because even if someone could theoretically control the weather, why would they flex on Russia? Russia comes into Cuba for their military exercises, and then someone's like, okay, you got ships, but we got rain. Meanwhile, in North Florida, we can't get a good rainfall A little came down last night, but didn't do anything. There's no flooding and the ground is pretty much still dry. But there's no way that these two things are connected.
I know, a lot to take in, theories, but this is what's real. Russian ships in Cuba right now are these 4 ships, which I'm not going to try to pronounce any of them, but you guys can take a look at them, read the descriptions on which each one is, and then also, like they had said, the capabilities of what these things are carrying is real. And they're probably not cruising all the way over here to be in enemy territory, possibly, right? And not be packing, right? Who's gonna send some nuke subs and some warships over not equipped? Really? We're not stupid. Now let me also add, is there any reason for old Putinho over there in Russia to be upset? Yeah, there is.
Ben, the other thing to point out is Ukraine, without a navy, has wiped out half his navy in the Black Sea. And that's deeply embarrassing to him, and force it out of the ports in Crimea, correct?
Well, absolutely. In fact, we've seen some of his aircraft carriers not being able to make their final destination. His Navy, the few ships that remain floating, are not in the best strength at all. And of this flotilla that's coming over, 2 of them are supply ships, because the fact is they're never sure about whether their Navy will be able to reach its final destination. Sure. So, look, we do look at the ships that are being sent, and we don't feel that they are, the most viable ships. Nevertheless, they do and can carry serious weapons.
So, Ben, we've been following the anti-Semitism all across the country on these college campuses in the middle of all these major cities. You have this new special that addresses that, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, look, we've all been watching the protests that have been happening around the US, just Cal State in the last couple of days. We've seen the protests there. But what we've started to see is that these are not just protests sort of in support of or against the death toll inside Gaza. These are really shifting towards anti-Semitism. They are really shifting into a sense of anti-Jews. And so we put this special together that is looking at all the cases that we've seen, whether it's in social media, whether it's in these protests, whether it's on college campuses as well.
All very interesting and good to know, but the most recent evolving news is this. Reuters put out an article, U.S. attack sub, Canada Navy patrol ship arrived in Cuba on the heels of the warships from Russia. Just so you know what's going on there, Havana, June 14th from Reuters, a Canadian Navy patrol ship sailed into Havana early on Friday, just hours after the United States announced a fast attack submarine had docked at its Guantanamo naval base on Cuba. Both vessels on the heels of the Russian warship that arrived on the island earlier this week. So this is just what's happening. It's good to be aware. I find it very interesting that we've got the crazy weather in Florida, that old Bidenio has already fled the country while all these warships are right here. It just seems very coincidental, right? And then on top of that, he's got something to be ticked off about losing half his fleet back home. Folks, again, the map, it's right here at our doorstep. So if he just decided to get off his rocker, flip a switch, a lot of chaos could be knocking on the doors of us. I always find it interesting because, we never really know, because a lot of hype is brought up in a lot of areas to take our attention off of other things. So just being the aware community, pay attention on what's happening out here. Because if this is a smokescreen, then we want to know what is being passed, what is being covered up, because we all know we've seen that before. Again, please share this. Like, helps out the channel. If you guys haven't seen either one of those 2 videos, please watch. And of course, let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments. Keep prepping, keep learning, keep doing. We'll see you on the next one.